It's hot. Okay, this is gonna be a busy week. We gotta trellis up those cucumbers in there, cultivate everything, come through and get these beds amended, prepped, and seeded. This is where the cover crop was. Due to the bad compost, we haven't really seeded it yet, so I'm waiting for the good stuff. If you guys remember the hedgerow that we put in with the comfrey, clover, figs, persimmons, amelanchiers, and elderberries. That's what it looks like now. So I went through and dug the holes, and now Tori's planting. So it's starting to fill in, and if you didn't see that, it's like a overplanted agroforestry style thick hedgerow. The comfrey are accumulators, so the foliage will have micronutrients that will then break down for the trees. The clover will fix nitrogen for the trees, and the trees are all have edible parts to them and will attract birds, and also create a spot for beneficials to overwinter, things like that. We're also gonna have to prune up these tomatoes, eat some tomatoes, and we'll have to harvest plant, sell food, whatever, wash, pack, all that stuff. Alright guys, I made this rake here, so it's just a normal rake, and then cut these tines off, whatever you want to call them, so that it fits in the walkways. They're 18 inches, so the rake is 18 inches, and this way, after you go through and cultivate, you can bring this rake through, and it fits. You don't damage any foliage, and you can rake the weeds out. So right now we're dealing with Johnson grass. It's really vigorous. It can be a challenge to deal with, but when we do cultivate it and uproot it, we rake it out of the walkways, because otherwise it's just going to grow back. It's just like the nature of the plant. Still cultivating, just got this new load of compost, the replacement, and there's a huge difference. So good compost like this can turn into a ball. Like, it actually holds moisture. The other stuff was just mulch. It was alright when it was off the truck, but it just wasn't done. But yeah, that load was free, so customer service. How's the trellising going?
Hot.
Yeah, it's really humid today.
Look at my face. It's literally dripping in sweat.
Yeah, it's really humid.
So humid.
Tropical storm Crystal Ball.
Yeah, no breeze in here, but still better than a corporate office.
The cucumbers enjoy it, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of cucumbers on here. Like, look at this one.
Yeah, we'll have to come through later and prune those bottom ones off.
Yeah.
You want to prune the fruits off like a foot up or so. That puts the energy into the root ball. And, well, it doesn't make any sense. You'll get more fruits later with a stronger root system. And these leaves, they'll end up turning over and facing the sun. It's just because you're trellising them, and they've been getting used to laying on the ground. Okay, this is the cover crop plot that had cover crop on it all fall and winter, and then I had mowed it and tarped it, and as you can see, nothing is growing. So I explained the cover crops and the allelopathic tendencies of the rye and the nitrogen that the clover would bring, and so now we are getting ready to plant it. I needed to wait till that new compost came in till I did all this, otherwise it wouldn't have made that much sense to do it. So the amendments, there's lime in there to raise the pH, because this is a really low pH, it's acidic. There's a good bit of phosphorus in there. All these are organic too. And there's alfalfa meal. There's like a chicken manure product for nitrogen. There's azomite for micronutrients. A little bit of biochar to hold in some of the nutrients, but that's all based on a soil test. And yeah, we prefer to balance the chemistry of the soil before you go really hard into the biology side. So I need to prep this so we can plant it this week. Yeah, it's ready. So all that's down, and this is the kind of thing that you really only kind of have to do once. Now we're gonna do another soil test this year and see how everything responded, especially when we get the massive rain events, see what washed out and what stayed, and then adjust accordingly. So amending like this is pretty cheap. It's not that expensive, and when you amend the soil correctly and grow decent crops, it pays for itself pretty quick. I know the current narrative is no-till and just add compost and all that stuff. That's fine, but everything that I've learned in life and actually done in the field and read into on my own suggests that you should do this first. So that's why I do it. Now the next step is to add compost and rake it out and then get the BCS on it, and then it should be ready to plant. Alright, so got these 2 beds ready with the compost, and I just want to show you guys before I rake it out and all that stuff. In the walkways is where the excess cover crop material is. So raking it to the walkways and then putting the compost down makes it look nice. But really, that's going to create a nice mat that weeds shouldn't grow through with the allelopathic tendencies of the leftover winter rye. And also should help hold moisture. So as we go into the summer, we're probably gonna have a drought deal like we did last year, I'd imagine. So yeah, we'll see how it works. So far, those beds over there that were cover cropped have been really good. Like probably the best beds we have. So definitely gonna be taking like you take this plot out of production one fall and winter and then put it back in production early to late spring with crops. But that's the advantage of managing this much land, is that you could say you have 80 beds or whatever, it's 3/4 of an acre. It doesn't mean you're growing on every single inch of that. You're managing it and you will be growing on all of it, but when you can do stuff like that and cover crop it and it makes a big difference, that's cool. That's a good thing to be able to do. Alright, 13 years ago we decided we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Ooh. How old were we? Like 17?
Yeah. Yeah, I was skateboarding behind a laundromat and I texted you.
And I was lifeguarding at a party at a pool. Yeah. And he was like, "Ooh, I have a girlfriend now." And I was like, "Oh, who's that?" And he's like, "You." And I was like, "Oh." We've actually known each other since we were 12. But we didn't start dating until senior year of high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my fault. I took Tori to homecoming in 9th grade and was like, ooh. But I was dumb. I knew I'd screw it up, so I waited.
I had a crush on him ever since.
Yeah.
The day that I met him, I had a crush on him.
Yeah.
It just took him a little longer.
So our neighbors have given us access to this pasture, and there's actually 2 over here. One's kind of hard to see. It goes uphill. We're gonna get Josh Satton's chick chariot and expand this flock and make them bigger, get some more fencing, and then move them around. It's like 7 to 8 acres total. Alright, I gotta go get potting soil today, so me and Booger are gonna head up to Dirt Craft Organics in the mountains, and I'll show you guys his setup and business. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I know, it makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know, have it right here.
Alright guys, I'm with Adam from Dirtcraft, and I'm gonna let him tell you guys about his business.
Hey, my name's Adam with Dirtcraft Organics. We blend peat-free potting soils, all organic ingredients, right here in Marshall, North Carolina. We use a coconut coir and organic compost in all our mixes, and it's a craft blended right here. Small batch in a blender. I don't know what else is there to say. We sell all our products in these 1-yard bulk tote bags. Ship those direct to farms. We have folks like yourself come pick them up. We also do bagged products in 1.5 cubic foot bags through retailers. So, we blend our base recipe with our compost and pine barks and coconut coir perlite out with the tractor bucket, and the final mix goes into this mixer where we have a recipe where we're adding the final amendments. These are your dry single source fertilizers like your feather meal, your bone meal, your kelp, crab meal. They're all getting added in there, and then it's got to mix a little bit longer, and then we're going to start bagging here.
Alright, I'm back, and now we got to unload this thing. It's like 600 pounds, I think he said, so I'm going to use the tree. I just set the throw line up this here. You throw this little bag up through the tree and spread the rope through the tree. It's just to spread the weight. Right, it's hooked up and ready. Alright, so it landed here, and I want to put it under the tree more, so hooked up to the hitch and tied to there. And then this is an old rigging carabiner from when I was a climber, and some old rope. So basically I'm gonna drive forward, and it's gonna pull this back. We store it here under the tree because it's more of a stable temperature. We just put a tarp over it, keep the rain off of it, and yeah, it stays out of the sun so it doesn't get real dry. That's tractorless farming. People always say they're farming without tractors, but I don't know. Just kidding, I'm not ripping on people. If I had one, I'd use it. What you seed in, George?
Did half lettuce, half mustard greens, arugula, turnips, have 2 types of radishes, and then I'm gonna do red beets.
Cool. This is the cover crop spot that I was working on yesterday, and Tori and Sandy had got compost on these 2 beds while I was gone, so it's all ready to plant. Alright, tree of the week. So if you remember this one, the tree of heaven, and remember that this whole structure is the leaf, and this is a pinnate leaf. So this isn't a stem, this is a petiole, and then these are leaflets, but the whole structure is a leaf. Okay, now this leaf is bipinnate, so the whole structure is a leaf, and then this is the petiole, not the stem, and then this little piece here, this little piece there is basically a pinnate leaf. So the whole structure is one leaf, but this is a bipinnate leaf. This is the tree of the week this week because it's flowering, and you'll probably see it, especially if you're in the North Carolina area. Here, you can see that better. This is a mimosa tree, so yeah, the flowers are edible, and you can make a like a tea with them, like a drink, a mimosa tea drink. It's pretty good. You just put the flowers in the water and let it sit. It's kind of weak wooded, but it does have this cool tropical feel to it. You can see this is actually growing in a stand of pines, and yeah, not a long-lived tree, not the best tree to plant, but it is really adaptable and will grow in urban areas, so crappy soils, high pH soils. You can see how it's just coming out of the pines here. Yeah, that's a mimosa. Alright, we got this seeded in carrots, and then this one over here in beets, and now I just gotta get another line of drip irrigation in here and we're good to go. Sun golds are really coming on now. You can see how much fruit there is on these, so these are forming big fruit sets. You got fruit sets like that. This one here, that's a really nice one. That's gonna be a real nice one there. Tons and tons of tomatoes off these plants. And they're actually getting up to the top, so next week we'll start lower and leaning them, hopefully right as the bottom tomatoes ripen. These are good. These are the dark galaxies, these determinants over here. They look really cool. So they're gonna be reddish, dark purple, blackish colored with like white spots. Need to get another string on these guys. Gotta get compost down on this bed, and this bed that's tarped. It's ready to be prepped and seeded. So yeah, a lot of having the bad compost kind of puts you back, like I explained last week, but just the way it goes. Tori's starting microgreens for next week while I'm spreading this compost. So let's go look at, show you guys the potting mix we got. How's that mix?
Seems pretty good. Yeah, it's soft.
Yeah, it is. Adam makes some nice mixes, and if you guys are wondering, that is a cubic yard, and it was $200. If any of you guys are in North Carolina, check it out. It's Dirtcraft Organics. Alright, just got a nice afternoon storm as we're setting up this project here. This is a hedgerow, so it's really mostly for blackberries, and then we're going to use up the other plants that our friends gave us. So this is one of the figs from Nick in Washington from Paul's place. And so there's one on this end, there's one in the middle, and one on the other end. And the one around the one in the middle, there's 2 service berries. And that about uses up the plants we had to plant this spring. And then in this, we're gonna put bird boxes and stuff like that. And then you can do perennials on each side of the woodies, whatever you want, annuals, whatever, make it work. So we did have the silage tarp over this area. That's how the grass is dead. And that's just another example of how well it works. It was there for probably 6 weeks till we could get around to doing this. Now we're just gonna plant the plants, put cardboard down, and then mulch on top of it. So we planted all of them, and then we don't cover them so we can make sure they're straight or somewhat straight, and then we'll come back through and just cover the root balls. Alright, we got another storm, but got this done just in time. So that's mulched, and there's enough room in between everything so that it can grow out to its mature size. We'll put some T-posts next to the raspberries and put some wires there so they can trellis across. Long humid day harvesting. Got all this washed and ready to go. So tomorrow is restaurant deliveries, and then on-farm sales, and yeah, it's the second half of the week. I just harvested arugula. Tori's moving seedlings out to the nursery, and then she's gonna start harvesting some tomatoes. A few out of this tunnel, mostly out of this tunnel, and I'm gonna deliver to the honey hog and come back, and we just day full of work. Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays are crazy. Alright, so this is full of salad. This is full of salad. This is for the honey hog and nannies. It's like 30 pounds a week. We do like 80 pounds a week total. It's like a whole bed, 100-foot bed of salanova, and then squash for fried squash, and some sampling cucumbers for a cucumber tomato salad. There's also some kale and fennel in here for Chef John at the steakhouse in Hickory.
First little red curry squash of the season. These are like mini Japanese pumpkins, and they're edible. And what we do is we just like slice it and then roast it with olive oil, and you can eat the skin too. They're like really good. They're like sweeter and more silky texture than butternut squash. While Casey was out doing deliveries today, I did some harvesting, and this is harvesting that I do every day. Some zucchini and squash, cucumbers and pickling cucumbers, and sun-gold tomatoes. And those are the first sun-golds that we have for the season, so I'm really excited about that. We'll be having a lot more here soon. I also went around and checked all the seeding that we did under all the white tarps to see if anything germinated, and several things did. So I took off the tarp and put some shade tarp down. It's supposed to be pretty hot today and tomorrow, and since we're going to the farmer's market tomorrow, I didn't want that to roast under the sun and die, so I put some shade tarp over it. I untarped the half of plot 7 that we seeded earlier this week, so everything germinated but the beets, so I actually still have that tarped with the white side up, but I did put insect net over everything else, and the insect net does help shade it a little bit too, so we're just gonna water it really heavy, and it should be good. I got a new fanny pack, farmed in style. I'm gonna bring them back, bring back the fanny pack. Casey makes fun of me too for the fanny pack, but whenever he needs something, I usually have it in there. Like, he asked me for zip ties the other day, and I had them in there, and he didn't have to make a second trip, so that's why I carry it.
We ordered another fence and doubled their fenced area. So they're getting pretty big for one fence, and we need this anyways for the layers when we don't have meat birds. So now they have double the spot. They don't poop it up as quick. Check out these tomatoes coming on. The tomatoes are still putting fruit sets up, the blooms, flowers to be pollinated, and then turn into tomatoes, blah, blah, blah. Still up to the top of the plant. That's good. Yeah, markets went good yesterday. Sorry for not recording anything like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today it's like the second half of the week. It's like Wednesday night, it all changes. Yeah, like I said before, we're farming, trying to farm for real, not farm for making content about it, so that's the way it goes. Well, I try to take the Sunday off, but Tori's finding stuff for me to do. I gotta set up the clothesline, I gotta mow, I gotta harvest stuff. I gotta sweep the floor, I had to make dinner and stuff.
You gotta edit the vlog.
I gotta edit this video.
Yellow zucchini?
Tori has a friend from the old job that got these chickens, and then their neighbor complained or something, for whatever reason, and then, so they had to get rid of them, so. We're gonna raise them in this tractor until they're big enough to put with the layers. Gonna throw some big pieces of zucchini at Tori.